Man, I love that. That's awesome. Casey,
Yes,
all
sir,
the
and I
money
just-
that you spend in the production of this show that you created. I mean, it's just
Well,
every penny is worth it.
we do what we can
That's
do,
our-
you know?
That's our new animated open. Hi, everybody. It's another new edition of the In-Ring Wrestling Podcast, the final day of November in 2025. Of course, you know, for our friend Southern Joe and those that are on the other side of the world, it's already December. So they're living in the future. And we welcome
you're
them.
right,
We
it
welcome
is.
you. Yeah,
That's crazy.
I know.
That's like Hulk Hogan going to Japan.
That's how he did it.
Yeah.
Kept going back between the days, the international date line.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so the speaking of Hulk Hogan, we'll talk about him and a whole lot more here on this edition of the In-Ring Wrestling Podcast. I'm Kevin Kelly, and of course the host, but the creator, the mind behind, the originator of the In-Ring Wrestling Podcast. That's you, Casey Thompson.
Oh,
hello.
yes.
I'm
Hey, Kevin, how was
digging
your trip?
It was nice. I went to Mobile, Alabama, Friday night for the folks in Diamond Championship Wrestling, and Scott Armstrong says hello.
Oh, okay.
And it was he was running
He would
around like a
scratch his
chicken
head
with
and
his head
say,
cut off.
Casey. Oh, Casey.
A little bit, but then he said, I'm old and I have a hard time remembering guys. And then I
Sure.
told him again who you were, and he said, "Oh yeah, I remember him, Florida guy." I said, "Yes." And so so they have a the building is in Theodore, Alabama, just south of Mobile, and it's very close to the Florida line. It's very close to Louisiana. It's right in that. They're very close to Mississippi, I should say, right in that little neck of Alabama that's sticking down. And it is a great venue. It's a very simple, just a steel building, aluminum wrapped, like you see everywhere. Could have been a, an auto repair shop. I think it fit. I think it probably had somewhere around 400, 500 people in there.
Oh,
and
that's nice.
They did great. And all of these guys, except for maybe a couple, are hand trained by Scott. And his school, based out of there, which, by the way, they named the building after Scott's dad. So it's the Bullet Bob Armstrong Memorial Arena, affectionately known as the Bullet. And it's very cool. They've got a great little setup. It reminds me a lot of OVW in terms of look and setup and fit form function. It is a training school that produces shows that air on social media, and then they do, I think, like quarterly pay-per-views.
Really? Okay.
And last night was the last pay-per-view of the calendar year, and so it was a big kind of blow-off night. It felt like their Starrcade. And because of time being what it is, they didn't want to waste time with setup and tear down or setup of the cage. They knew they could tear it down quickly, so they did the cage match first.
Oh.
Which is always a risk.
Yeah.
But they got the cage down in probably 7 or 8 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And we were back to business. The cage match was really good. It was two wrestlers. I'm sure you've never heard of them, but that's okay. One named Jack Passion, and the other one named Crusher Cottrell.
Okay.
So both are young guys.
Was he a
trained
Russian?
by Scott. No, he's not. He's Florida guy, Florida Panhandle guy.
Oh, okay. South Alabama.
19 years old.
Wow.
6'2", 230. Good build, all natural, and has it, but also has the right mind for the business.
Oh, good.
These two did not, and both of them are young in the business.
Yeah.
And you put guys like that in a cage, and all of a sudden they're wanting to do crazy stuff. And
right.
No, not these guys.
Well, they're probably taught the right way, that's why.
Yeah, they were taught the right way. They had a story going in. Of course, their rivalry for the belt, which had lasted almost I think it was a year to the day, because it was November 29th. And then, all the ebbs and flows of the story through the past 12 months.
Yeah.
Finally, and this is I just love this. Jack Passion couldn't get a match with Crusher Cottrell, so he donned the mask of the Alabama Jawjacker.
Really?
And Crusher Cottrell lost to the Alabama Jawjacker, of course, unmasks, and it's Jack Passion. For those of you fans of Bullet, Bob Armstrong, of course, he was the Georgia Jawjacker throughout the years. And I just love those type of old school things.
Yeah.
They had a great little match, great cage match, satisfying ending. The story just began there. It was a thread throughout the whole night, and the final match and everything in the middle was good to decent, with greener than green wrestlers.
Oh yeah.
And what they did was limited, and what they did was what they could do. And even if sometimes it was repeated a couple of times, that's what they could do.
So it sounds like you had a bunch of guys who knew the basics, knew what they could and couldn't do, and they listened to who put on the show. They were trained the right way, and they didn't try to go off script, go rogue or anything. Listened to the game plan and did exactly what Scott told them to do, and ended up being good from top to bottom.
Yes, exactly.
You gotta love that, don't you?
Yeah, tag match main event was exactly what it needed to be. They smashed over the big Road Warrior-like baby faces. Okay. Wow. And in indie wrestling, the 50-50 rule is, so prevalent, where even we see it in AEW. Let's say wrestler A is getting in the main event. He's going to go after whomever the AEW champion is, and he has a match against a lesser ranked talent, and they kind of go 50-50 for 8 or 10 minutes. When what the best thing for business would be is for the challenger to get smashed over on the lesser ranked talent. Things could change tomorrow, but this is the way they are today. He's riding high, a ton of momentum, in physical peak form, and primed and ready to challenge the champion for the belt at the upcoming AEW pay-per-view. But they don't do that, and most independent wrestling doesn't. But these guys did, and business was done. Business was handled. And I was just like, I'm calling a match where I get to say this is a blowout, and it was a blowout.
Yeah,
it was incredible. So
did they have show prep for you, like all the history of the angles and all that kind of stuff?
Or they had the talent. They had the talent fill it out. Part of the education. Okay. You're going to need to learn how to communicate with the announcers. So what we want you to do is write down. Here's some questions that they would ask you. So go ahead and fill out this information to the best of your ability. Most of them did. Some of them didn't. Some of them gave us a lot, and it was all great. Some of us didn't give us very much, but they gave us what we needed. So it was totally fine.
Oh, great.
Kind of fitting in line with where they are in characters. The most advanced gave us the most.
Right.
And it was fine. So I took a long Uber ride. I'd never done that before. Oh, it's kind of weird.
How long was the long?
2 hours.
Oh, really?
2 hours from New Orleans airport to Mobile.
Let me guess how much it was. 2 hours is probably about $130.
Nope. Double it.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Were you paying that?
Hell no.
Oh, I was gonna say, Kevin.
No way. Yeah, it's about $250 each way. Now maybe the ride back was a little cheaper because it was at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. But yeah.
Who didn't want to come get you?
There wasn't anybody to get me was the problem, because it's a very small crew.
Right.
And it's like, we'll just have Kevin take the Uber and that'll be fine.
Wow, that's like, man, that's that's almost saying like, hey, you know what? Just throw that on my pay, and I will get myself there and back and get a cheap rental.
I know, but it was fine.
It's nice totally sometimes to be able to sit there and relax and not have to worry about where you're going or anything, and you just show up and you get there.
Yeah, it was nice. It was a little bit like being in a squad car, because I noticed that I couldn't control the window. I wanted the window to go down a little bit. Couldn't do that. And I had to have my seatbelt on. I wasn't a big fan of that in the back seat.
Oh, wow.
But we got there. We got back to the airport. I hung out because I said, well, there's no point in getting me a hotel. I'm only going to be in it a couple of hours. Just drop me off at the airport and I'll hang out. And I did.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. First flight out, was home by noon Saturday. It was great.
Nice. And the when I ran my shows, I had like a street team sort of.
Yes.
And they were my runners. I had like about 4 or 5 guys.
Mm-hmm.
I think his name was Lupe. It was around when you were there. They're all about 21, 22 years old, big wrestling fans, and they picked up everyone. Sandman loved them. I wonder why. But I mean, he had them. I mean, they would take airport runs like crazy. We got it. They made sure everyone was there on time. Everything was great. So
yeah, it was
I remember once when I did that one tag team tournament, Lords of the Ring.
Mm-hmm.
I was the airport guy because I didn't have anyone, and I did so many different trips to the airport. I remember taking like early morning, taking the Briscoes, and they're in there, and they're reading some. The Snapple lids always have a saying in there.
Yeah,
and they popped it open, and they're reading it, and said, I'll be. And he read it, and it was something really far-fetched, stupid, right? And I don't remember if it was Jay or Mark, which one it was. And he's like, well, I'll be. That it got to be true if it was on the Snapple lid. And the other one's, I believe that. And it was just, I laugh my ass off. I made a few airport runs. I was tired because we had a big day or two, set up, tear down, the whole production of it all. And I remember on the way home, I kind of dozed off for a second, and I was merging, and I slipped into the side of someone, and it sounded like the metal, like it just tore the whole side of the cars off. I got out of the car. There was no damage to either car. I was the luckiest there ever was. And I was like, whoa. And I was literally only a couple miles from my house.
Thank God for that.
I made it home, and I never said anything to anyone because there's no damage.
Scared straight.
Back then I had a brand new minivan, a Kia minivan. I remember once that I was at a show when they had Dusty was on it, Terry Funk, Mick Foley was on it, and a couple of the guys. They asked me, "Can you go pick up Mick from the airport?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." I'm sorry, from his hotel. I said, "Yeah, no problem." So I went and picked him up. And he's like, "Hey, you mind if I ask you something personal?" I'm like, "Sure." He's like, "Do you like this van?" I'm like, "Well, yeah, I do." He's like, "Because I've been thinking about buying one." And he pulled out the brochure packet of it, and the same van we were driving in. He's like, "I like this color too." And he said, "Do you mind if I drive it a little bit?" I'm like, "Sure, go ahead." And so, yeah, Mick Foley's driving my minivan,
And you're probably like this.
Yeah. I'm like, the last time I was with Mick Foley and he asked about the minivan, we were out in Topeka, Kansas, and he's like, "Hey, you guys drive here?" We're like, "Yeah." He's like, "You have a rental?" And everyone's like, "No, Mick, you're not destroying our minivan." Because you look for someone that had the insurance where they wouldn't get dinged for anything because you got it through them. Anything could happen to the car. There's no problems because you got insurance through the company. So he would do something, wanted to do a spot on it. We're like, "No, you're not." Penser's like, "No, you're not messing up our van. We got to drive all the way back to Florida from Topeka, Kansas."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, tell me about it. So, hey, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was nice. We had just the traditional Thanksgiving dinner, the basics: turkey, stuffing, mashed potatoes, gravy, spinach casserole, like a cream spinach, rolls, cranberry sauce. That's it.
And you're like me, you can go about that much and we're done.
Yeah, right? What did you have?
Yeah. It was amazing. I actually took a picture of it. Went to my girl's son's house. He had 2 or 3 different types of turkey, deep fried them, oven, the whole deal, a ham, big giant steaks. Then they had mashed potatoes, macaroni and cheese, some kind of rice gimmick, anything you can imagine. There was enough food to feed probably 2 homeless shelters.
Wow.
And banana pudding. Oh,
no.
His wife makes this banana pudding to die for. It's just like, I'm like, yeah, that's all I care about right there. And then they had a fruit platter. And sometimes you eat the fruit and it's like, that's good. Fruit is always better when you're somewhere else and you eat it than taking it out of your refrigerator to get it. I don't know why. But these strawberries and pineapples were like their perfection to the ripeness and everything was just like, oh my God, this is incredible. So we had a good time. We ate, hung out, everything, all the family and everything, my girl's family and everything, her mom, her brother came up and went over to her sons and all that stuff. So her grandsons, they just have a baby too, very, very young baby. And we had a good time. And then I was watching that night. I'm like, what? It's really weird. All the network TV, they give reruns during the Thanksgiving holiday. I don't know why. And it drives me nuts. So I was watching some YouTube and I started watching Rip Rogers podcast, and he was talking about his time in each territory. So Portland, Florida, mid South. All the different ones and everything. Canada, and I just sat up for way too long watching because I wanted to watch all of them because I was just like, because I like the territory days of wrestling as you do, and
of course
it's really cool to be able to him tell his story about who was there when he was there, who the booker was, all that kind of stuff. So it was pretty cool. He does look really strange now. I mean, when you look at him, you wouldn't know it's Rip Rogers if you didn't. It said Rip Rogers, the hustler. You walking down the street, you never say, "Hey, Rip." No. Yeah, it's the craziest thing how people change when they get older, I guess.
He's it's been hard on him the last few years. You don't save your money as you should, or you don't make as much as you could have, perhaps.
Right.
And when you get to a certain age and you don't have anything, or you train for a while and that doesn't necessarily turn into a lucrative career, what are you going to do?
Right.
So he still goes to the gym pretty religiously. He's had some health issues.
Yeah. I like the whole concept of the of that with him, the territories where he was in. It was really, really cool. It could have been structured a little more detail on some of the things, but in all, I really enjoyed it. It was a great evening of watching YouTube on the TV.
All right, so give Rip Rogers a search on YouTube, and you'll see some really good matches if you just type in his name, because he was extremely solid in the ring and damn entertaining. The guy could get heat anywhere, and there was and of course type in Rip Rogers podcast and you can listen like Casey did, you can watch like Casey did, and enjoy some stories from the territory days. What was so I knew one story that Rip had told, and it was he was in the Maritimes working for Emile Dupree, and Rip being Rip, he'll say an outrageous thing. Don't know if you knew that or not, but anyway, he's on the cardio machine and there's a young man next to him and he's trying to pop himself by saying something outrageous to the young man. And he doesn't know who this young man is, but he's and he's talking about the different sexual positions he could get into with this one over there and that one. And then Then he goes to the building later on, and he sees that same young kid. What's he doing here? And Emile Dupree says, "Oh, I want you to meet my son, Rene." And that was Rene.
Oh.
That was Rene Dupree.
Oh, really? Wow. He didn't tell that story, by the way.
No, that was just one that he told me. He was, I don't know, 13, 14 years old, and was bigger than most of the boys, and may have had a match on the card. Who knows? But Rene Dupree was way ahead of his time in terms of starting in the business, starting extremely young. But I'm sure Rip could tell.
Yeah. Gosh. Then in WWF, he just got kind of a raw deal, didn't he? With the guys in the back and everything. Man, this headphones is really killing my ear tonight. So,
like too loud or just awkward
no, it hurts,
on your head?
It hurts my ear. Feels like it's breaking the cartilage, like I'm getting cauliflower ear or something.
Well, good. Yeah, that's good. Come here, you. Did you ever get a cauliflower ear?
Not really. A little bit. What's funny about cauliflower is my son had wrestled from 5 years old all the way through college, and it's his freshman year, and he never wanted to wear his headgear ever. He'd always get mad. And when you wrestle international style, Greco-Roman and freestyle, you don't have to wear headgear. And if you go onto the mat and someone walks on with headgear, you can tell them, take that off, take that shit off. And they have to take it off. And so, but in college, they make you wear the headgear because they don't want you to get, your ears all messed up and stuff like that. But the headgear always rips on the ears and everything. So he was right before the end of one season, like the last practice of the season, he came home and his ear was like, like all jacked up. And I'm like, oh, I want to flick that thing so bad. I owe you this so much. I didn't, but I wanted to. And, because all those things I've always told you he's done, he's still doing it to this day. Of course. Like he's calling me, he's like, hey, you got a picture of Sonny's barbecue? I'm like, what? Yeah, you have one of those pictures of Sonny's barbecue. What are you talking about? Oh, never mind. I'll just go. I'm like, what are you talking about? And then he hangs up. And then my daughter calls me. Hey, you have that picture of me and you from Sonny's barbecue? I said, you don't start it too. I said, no. And then I get a text message from his mother. Hey, Chase wants the pictures from Sonny's barbecue. I'm like, what? I'm going to kill this kid, because that's how he'd always just push my buttons, push it, till I exploded. And then everyone thought we were always, and that's how we always were with each other, because his girlfriend would like tell his mom, Mr. Casey gets so mad. They argue and fight. She's like, they're not fighting. That's how they show love to each other. That's how they are with each other. They just push back and forth with each other and stuff like that. So he would always say, I had a big Johnny Jib. You know what a Johnny Jib is, right?
Yes.
Big cranes. I had the largest one in Florida. I had a 30-footer with the big wheels. I mean, it was nice. I bought it really dirt cheap off of someone that was from some woman. Her husband was a production guy. He just died, and I got it for a couple $1,000, worth a lot of money. Worth about $16,000. So I had someone watching it, and I'm like, oh, is it the Johnny Jib? And so every time my phone would ring, Chase like, who's that, the Johnny Jib guy? My phone ring, who's that, the Johnny Jib guy? No, not just once or twice. For years and years. To this day, my phone would ring, and he'll say, Johnny Jib? I'm like, you shut up. I mean, all the time, he's so lucky I didn't have a stroke that he pushed my button so hard, through my lifetime with him. So I was talking to his partner. My son's a police officer in down in South Florida. So I said, hey, tell Chase that you had what is it, bolo? That's it. Be on the lookout for Johnny Jib. He's like, huh? I said, just tell him, he'll laugh his ass off. He's like, all right, I'll tell him in a minute. And all of a sudden, he's like, hey, did you see the bolo? He's like, yeah. Yeah, that's Bolo for Johnny Jib. And he said Chase has started busting out laughing and everything. So it's funny, I was able to, get him back a little bit and everything. But, his girl's like, oh my gosh, they just like fight all the time. We're not fighting. This is how we are with each other. And I did it to my dad. So I'm probably just, the the payback and everything from all that for
Right.
me messing with my dad, because me and my brother would do it and my dad would get so mad and then we'd just start laughing and he's like, just go to your room, and just be screaming and yelling at us. We were on a we were going to some weekend retreat, something with the church and all that, and my brother's in college and I was in high school. My dad was in the back. I think we were going from Orlando to Jacksonville, so we're going and we looked at each other like, oh, you're gonna mess with dad. So we turned the radio up. And he's sleeping. So by this time, this radio is up as high as it can go, but he's sleeping, so he doesn't know. So we stopped at a rest stop, get it, and we go go on there, get back in the car, got our drinks and all that, and turn it on. The radio comes on, it's blaring. He's like, turn that stuff down, just starts screaming and laughing at us. And we turned it down. We're laughing and everything. We're like, it's been like that for an hour. No, it hasn't. Oh, and we, so I'm getting paid back for everything I did to my dad. So
Right.
I can't wait for my son to have kids, because he's going to make my son have a stroke as much as he's messed with me.
You got to smarten him up, teach him young, and he'll find his path. That's amazing. I did that with my mom. I gave my mom the business all the time.
Oh, and really?
Anytime anything bad happens to me at home, like we were cleaning up after Thanksgiving dinner, and when you bake pies, you put a metal rack on top of the crust when you put it in the oven, so the crust doesn't burn. And it's very thin metal, and and just thinking about it, I'm getting itchy. And I have a glass top stove. And the bottom of the thing dragged across the glass top stove, and it was like, I screamed. Oh, I hate that noise.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm covered in goosebumps right now, just thinking about it. So, and when stuff like that happens, my wife says, that's your mom getting you back.
My son did the other day. He was going on vacation. He went to, you've heard of Ruby Falls up in Georgia or Tennessee or something like. You see it from the Express. Ruby Falls. It's a cave and everything. So he sends me, he's like, a picture of the cave, right? And he's like, calls me, he's like, hey, you see that picture I sent you? I said, yeah, it's a cave. He's like, now look at it. I'm like, it's disgusting. I said, so you wanted to send it to me? He's like, yeah, excuse me walking through this place. It's gross. And the reason why he's doing this is because there was an episode years ago on Grey's Anatomy called The Tree Guy. His body was turning into a tree, and like limbs of the tree were growing out of his hands and stuff. And that's what it reminded him of. So he sent it to me because he knows it skeeves me. I'm like, hey, thanks, Chase. And he hangs up. All right, bye. So he's 22 years old, still fucking with me as much as he possibly can.
Sure, absolutely. So of course throughout Thanksgiving weekend, and this is what I said in commentary on Friday. I said that this is one of the biggest weekends of wrestling around the United States, and it kind of all started like in the Thanksgiving traditions. It really started with the Jim Crockett territory, and they had Thanksgiving shows throughout. I know Dave Meltzer has done, has printed his look at the different territories and when they started their Thanksgiving shows and how they did. It was always like a big thing. But now it seems everywhere. And of course, then it continued with Starrcade and with Survivor Series. Survivor Series was this past weekend. And we're going to take a look tonight. A few weeks ago, we did the number one, what I thought was the best episode ever of Raw, and it was from and it was an episode right after the '97 pay-per-view that was in where were we? We were in UTC, Chattanooga, Tennessee, at the Roundhouse, and then we went and did Raw at the Bridgestone Arena in Nashville, and that was the whole deal with Austin wrecking the one-on-one title rematch with the new champ Bret Hart and Psycho Sid.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that was my pick for the best Raw episode, and I got some. Nobody said, Kevin, you're stupid, and that was wrong. I had some other people who threw some other ones in, including Mick Foley's victory in '99. And there was the Owen Hart tribute episode, and there was Eddie Guerrero match, and the whole bunch of different suggestions. And there was not a bad one in the bunch. But I'm curious, what's your choice for the best Nitro episode ever?
Nitro. I would say for the Monday Night Nitro, of course, I'm going to do something that I was involved in. I would say, I was just looking, I looked it up. It's July 29th, 1996. It was the first Nitro at MGM Studios. So we've talked many times that they moved WCW moved their whole entire production down to Disney MGM Studios because of the 96 Olympic Games in Atlanta. So they used all Disney's cameras, production, everything. So they made, for 3 weeks, I believe it was, 3 weeks, they made 3 Nitros. They made an outside arena right by the entrance of MGM. So that's what I'm gonna look at, because I think that's a pivotal part of wrestling history, because it was the first Nitro after Bash at the Beach, where Hogan came out, and it was the first. Well, Hogan came out and turned heel and joined the NWO, and this was the first first Nitro that Hogan was Hollywood Hogan. So, and
yeah, because in Daytona, when he turned, when he dropped the leg on Randy Savage and cut the promo, he of course was in the red and yellow.
Yeah.
And this is a pivotal time, an important time, like you said, because the follow-up to the biggest turn in wrestling history needed to be done right, needed to be impactful, and this was going to set them up to draw money for years.
Oh,
because you still had Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, who had sort of been chirping on the side, speaking sort of big picture-esque and being a pain in the ass to people, but not showing their cards.
Right.
So this was the time now. Okay, let's put the cards on the table, and we got to lay all this out, because it was a plan, it was a plot, it was a scheme.
Oh yeah, and this is the same night that Rey Mysterio won the Cruiserweight title, and then everyone. I think this is a big part of wrestling history now. Everyone remembers the where the NWO started just beating up all kinds of guys in the back of the lot, and by the production and all that. And the big part that everyone really remembers is when Kevin Nash took Rey Mysterio like a human lawn dart and threw him head first right into the production trailer. And I was actually standing right behind the camera guy when that happened, because that was one of the Nitros that I got paid to ring the bell. So, and like as you were talking about in your X and Twitter and all that, where someone was talking about like when they really rang the bell, I rang the hell out of that bell, because the instruction that I got was like, all right, you're gonna ring the bell if the referee motions to you, or if like Jody Hamilton or someone on the IFB is telling you to ring the bell, just ring the bell. I'm like, okay. And they had a way that at the beginning of the match, to start the match, you do 2 rings, ding ding, and then to end the match, it would be 3 rings, ding ding ding. Or no, vice versa. I don't know. Someone probably going to correct me anyhow. So all those haters on TikTok. Anyhow, it was either one way or the other.
There's going to be a new screen name on TikTok, by the way, Johnny Jib. I guarantee it, and it's going to be up your ass, no doubt.
Yeah. So it was some big run-in, NWO something, and they're like, ring the bell, and I was just ringing the hell out of the bell, bing, 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 and the referee, all this stuff, big chaos, big schmoz going on. Apparently, I was wired in to the audio, and I was just ringing the hell out of that bell, and it overpowered the announcers and everyone. So it was my last time ringing the bell. But ironically, I got paid, I think it was $350 that night to ring the bell.
Hell yeah.
I told Sarge, I said, $350 this morning, you guys are paying, I get paid to wrestle at that time, so I was like, I ring that bell all the time, but apparently I didn't do a good enough job.
Yeah, I mean, if you broke it down to the number of times you rang the bell, your per ring rate was pretty low, because I think it may have been like a one for one.
Yeah. So,
because you're hearing Terry Taylor. Wait a minute, you're hearing Terry Taylor. You're hearing Jody Hamilton. You're hearing multiple voices telling you the same thing.
And the referee.
And the referee who's giving you the gimmick.
Yeah. So.
Was Klondike Bill sitting there with you?
No, I was up on the scaffold. I had the best. I was up 3. So they're 8 foot. I was up 24 foot up off the ground. I had to climb the ladder to go up the scaffold. So I was up 3 bays high. I had the whole thing myself. I had a little monitor. I had the headphones. I was like, I'm living life right now. Growing up as a wrestling fan, even though we're in the business, we wrestle and everything, it's fascinating when you're doing a different role and you're like, I've worked the gorilla position before, where they're saying, tell them when to go and, tell them when to take it home. You watch, you call, on the clock, find out how much time. And then, also, they would tell you like spots they wanted you to cue them on at certain times and stuff like that. So, I mean, anytime you did a different thing, I always found it to be like, man, I was like a real mark for different things. And the production of wrestling really, I just like, man, I really love the production of wrestling. All that goes into, from the show from start to finish. I just really enjoyed it, from the chairs being set up, how they set up the arena, how they set up the stage, the lighting, all that. That's what I really enjoyed. I should have probably just done that and never wrestled. I'd probably be better off.
Well, if you wouldn't have gotten so banged up, then probably transitioning into, doing the rings, being in charge of that logistics would be, I think, probably really good for you. You would have,
I think it would been fun.
Because you were good at traveling and, good at being on the road, good at managing resources, managing people. And that's all that you kind of have to do. Plus, you had seen it done badly.
I love living out of a suitcase.
Right? It's the life. It really is. And you do get used to it. You sleep in hotels that are nicer than where you live. That's not too bad.
Well, I mean, WCW didn't pay for my hotel, so our hotels weren't that good.
Never mind.
But, it's funny. I listen to different people talk about how they get paid and this and that when they're doing TV matches and stuff like that. When I wrestled for WCW, they didn't pay for our rooms, but they paid for our car and they paid our gas and everything. But WWF, they paid us per match. WWF paid us for the day. One flat fee for the whole day. One match, no matches. If you didn't wrestle, you still got paid. But if you wrestled 10 times, you got paid one time.
Yep.
But they would pay for the rent-a-car, the gas, the hotel, everything. And I don't understand the reason why, but I remember I always got, and I was 18 years old at this time, okay? I was a kid. So, first of all, I didn't have a credit card, let alone, being able to rent a car. WWF sent me a voucher to rent the car. So basically, WWF sent their credit card down, corporate card, for I could rent it through Enterprise, or what I think it was Enterprise actually. And so they're like, "What do you want?" I'm like, "I'll take a Lincoln Town car." No problem. Got the town car. We're like, pulled up. Where are we staying? You're like, no, all the boys are staying at the Marriott. I'm like, all right, got the Marriott. Same floors. Like, I one time with the same floors, Hogan and Savage and guys like this. And so I remember Tony Grillo was one of the agents then. He was going around to all the enhancement guys and was kind of not yelling, but kind of being stern about, hey, listen, we prefer our extras to maybe, rent a mid-sized car
Mm-hmm.
and to stay at maybe a $40 or $50 a night room. So, meanwhile, I was renting a town car, staying at the most expensive hotel in the area, and not once did they ever say anything to me. And I don't know why, but that's just just the way it was.
That is.
The
Now,
way
were you?
why it happened. I don't know why. I have an ideal why. This is all during the time of the whole Pat Patterson, Terry Garvin, because Terry Garvin was the booker. It was the I want to say booker. He was he used to book the enhancement guys.
Right.
So I think because I was a good-looking 18-year-old kid, Terry Garvin might have been like, "Ooh, I like that boy." So they didn't give me no problems. Now I can't say to you yes or no, but I can say, and this is a shoot right here. I was standing my second or third time wrestling for WWF. I was standing against the wall. I think I had my boots and trunks on with a t-shirt like everyone does, It was me and the two guys I went up with, Scott and John Allen. We're right by the monitor area, right before Gorilla, and we're just standing there, backs against the wall where people could walk by us. Pat Patterson came in. I swear on the life of my children. So that tells you that I'm not exaggerating. I'm not making it up to make it sound good. This is the God's honest truth. He walked by the first guy. He walked by the second guy. He stopped right in front of me, turned, looked, squared up with me, and said, "Oh, you looked really good out there." I said, "Oh, okay, thank you." And he's like patting me on my chest. He's like, "You look really good out there." I said, "Oh, thank you." I said, "My match was good." He's like, "No, you looked really good out there." I said, "Oh, okay." And he's like, "No, you looked good." I'm like, "Thank you, sir." And all the boys were ribbing me and everything, and like, ah ha ha ha. I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah." I said, "But," I said, "if I wanted to, I could do something and get a job." Or said, "But you guys see where I'm at, don't you?" So,
Right.
but it was they ribbed me forever about that, So, but it was
Is
funny.
Casey getting a push? Not yet.
Yeah.
It's interesting, and when I started in '96, of course, that was post all of that, Terry Garvin business and and all. But again, there were more checks and balances, and there were more eyes on when I first started at pay-per-views, they had like a whole bunch of accounting people there paying out the boys, and you had to sign this, and then you go to the next person and you have to sign that.
Yeah.
And that was just the way that it was, because I started in mid-June, so the next, the night after King of the Ring, so then the next pay-per-view was July. They were there July. I saw them in August. I think I saw them in September. And then after that, it just kind of, there were fewer and fewer of them. And then eventually it was just kind of Hebner and Howard Finkel, or Hebner and Hillbilly Jim, or whoever it was, Hebner and Gorilla. Just doing
I was there.
payouts.
It was funny because when the money man came by, everyone would be like, "Hey, the money guy, come on, money guy, come on, let's go." Get our. I don't know what's the whole thought of it, because either there we got paid cash at the end of the night. So, and it was Arnold Scolding who was paying us out.
Love Arnie.
And he had the Halliburton with all the money in it, and I remember once, so they're squaring up with the hotel and the trans and all that stuff, and fellow enhancement wrestler Mike Jackson, the King of Alabama, he said, hey, kid. Because like I said, I was a kid. And by this point, I was bringing guys up with me, 3 or 4, guys with me. He's like, how are you getting paid? I said, what do you mean? He's like, are you putting your miles or are you just getting receipts? I was like, I don't know. I was just going to give him the receipts. He's like, no, you're going to do it like this. And of course, he had some kind of scam to make more money.
No.
And then they threw you a couple of extra. They threw you, I think, and I'm just guessing. I'm trying to remember because I'm trying to break up the cow. I think they gave me like $50 each guy I brought up that did good. So extra 150 on my payout. Just not for both nights. One night, $50 each guy I brought up as like a little, hey, thanks here, bringing up a good guy.
Yeah, for the loop, right?
Yeah, right. So he told me how to do it. I remember getting my payoff. So back then for WWF it was $150. So,
Okay.
but you have to realize if I worked a full-time job at home, I took home about $350 a week full time, and that was pretty decent money because this is 1991,
Correct.
91. So it wasn't bad, because I worked a regular job, so I make $300-$400 a week, about $325, $350 a week. So I made in 2 days, I made $300. So I was like, oh man, I was that was big time for me, And
Right.
then they paid for my hotel and all that stuff. I never charged a booking fee like other people did. I got taken care of from the office. So I got an extra $50 per guy, and then whatever I did, what Mike Jackson told me to, I ended up with my $300, ended up with like $1,200 or $1,300 each time I did a double shot. I don't know how, but I think one of the things is the boys didn't realize I was getting paid the hotel. So when we split the hotel like 4 ways or whatever, I got that money, and then I got the money from the reimbursement for it and everything. So I was making money all over the place.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you because if you're getting paid, if the boys are splitting the cost of the rental car and the hotel, but then the company is reimbursing you for that exact same whole room, no wonder why you were kind of getting over.
Yeah.
You got to get over. That's all there is to
it. They knew the hotel. They knew the rental car was paid for.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't know the gas was paid for or the hotels, because you remember all these guys came from WCW, so we didn't get paid for that in WCW. So, it was cool. And I remember one time they trashed my rent-a-car so bad. The inside. This was a brand new town car. The headliner was down. They super glued the key in the ignition. They super glued the temperature on high heat. The radio was blaring, super glued. The cigarette. It looked like there was like 150,000 miles on the interior of the car when I returned it. And I returned it, was like, I can't turn the key in, so I just left a note in the drop box. Key in car. Any problems? Call Carolyn with the World Wrestling Federation. Thank you. Needless to say, I didn't get booked for a long time after that. Long time. So
okay. Now I can't believe I'm asking this question. I'm asking it already knowing the answer. So you know the story about the former WWE, he was an NXT wrestler, and he got released, and then he went public saying he got released, and then they didn't pay him out the rest of his contract because he violated the terms of his contract by speaking ill of the company. I think he wrestled as Ridge Holland, okay?
Okay.
And it was big news for a couple of days, and then they set up a GoFundMe for this guy because he lost his job, and he was hurt. That was the other thing. They released him when he was hurt.
Oh, wow.
One of the things that he did during his time in the company is everybody knows that Big E got a broken neck. Well, it was against Ridge Holland, and it was a bump that Big E took, a suplex out on the floor that Ridge Holland gave him. Right. And I read that the headline today, Ridge Holland believes the company held it against him that Biggie got hurt. Well, no shit.
Yeah.
Of course they do. So I was like, yes, when you drop a star 1/3 of, the New Day on his head and you break his neck, yes. Oh, I broke Big E's neck and the company's mad at me. Seriously? Yes, of course. So the company was mad at you, Casey, because they didn't know whether or not you did it, but they knew the rental car that you drove got trashed.
Yeah. Yeah,
and you're not in a position to say who did it.
Yeah, exactly. So,
you can't stooge the boys.
I do remember I took up one of my buddies with me, and he is 6'9", Bob Cook. Yeah.
Yeah, he's innocent.
Yeah, innocent about nothing. Yes, I saw the message. The next Legends lunch is January 31st. I'm excited for that.
We'll get this its own. So the Legends lunch is in Tampa, Florida, correct?
Yes, Beef O'Brady's or O'Brien's, I believe it is.
And this is not a fan thing.
No.
So this is not fans can come in and have lunch with the boys or whatever. This is for wrestlers. So if you want to go, if anybody that's in the business wants to go, contact us. We'll get you in touch with Bob. We'll get you in touch with the peoples, and you can matriculate your way on down to Tampa, Florida on January 31st.
It's fun. It's hosted by Brian Blair.
Mm-hmm.
And they always honor someone that had some type of impact in the state of Florida, in Florida wrestling. So it's a fun time, and I usually go and pick up Bugsy. Hopefully, I'll have to call him next day or so, just to see how he's doing, and do my every couple of weeks check in, see how he's doing and stuff.
Yeah.
And see because he was sick for a little bit, so hopefully he'll feel up to the trip. And because I go over my house a couple hours to get him, then we drive to Tampa for a couple hours, back there, then back home. It's like a hell of a road trip. And then I got to argue with him about trans money because I don't want to take it. He wants to give it to me. And so he wants to argue with me about that. But he's too old to fight me. So I end up not getting no money, which I'm grateful, because he helped break me into business. And not only that, just the knowledge you learn for riding for 6 or 7 hours with a captive audience with one. And, in between his little cat naps, I can ask any question I want. And I've asked the same question multiple times just to see if the answer changed or not. But it's always the same. So he's consistent with what he says. So that's always cool. So, I mean, I'm able to ask him tons and tons of questions about the old territory days and payoffs and all that kind of stuff. And it's just, it's just fun. It's interesting to find out certain people that he didn't like in the business, because he'll straight up say, "No, I don't like him." So Bruiser Brody was one of them
that he didn't like.
No, did not like him at all.
Okay. Yeah. Was there a surprising name of somebody that doesn't surprise me that he didn't like Brody, because people either liked him or didn't like him?
Yes, there was, and I cannot for the life of me remember who it was. But yes, once I was like, really? And I have to ask him through a list of people again to figure out who it was.
Yeah.
But sometimes the people you think that, oh yeah, everyone likes this person. Not Bugsy. He didn't like him.
Interesting.
So
very interesting. So let's get back to this Nitro, because I remember those 3 episodes for a few different reasons. 1, of course, it was a neat outdoor setting. 2, I thought the lighting was just perfect because the sun was low and it was starting to set, and as transitions from day to night. I also remember the fact that somehow, some way, WCW was blessed with fantastic weather.
I know.
you didn't deal with thunderstorms. It was like this rare time where there wasn't a cloud in the sky. Now, it was probably
July,
boiling hot during the day.
season. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was and you lived in Florida. You grew up in you grew
I know.
I mean,
I lived in Florida for 20 years.
But Florida's weird.
Yeah.
It could be pouring down rain in the front and the backyard is sunny.
Yes.
I remember once I get my mom yelling, "Quit playing in the hose." I'm like, "We're in the front."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "I'm not." I mean, it's raining. She said, "No, it's not. We're in the front yard. It's sunny." You go out back, it's like pouring down rain. She's like, "Oh my gosh."
Yep.
But yeah, the weather was I remember it being breezy. Like one night I thought it was going to rain, but it never did. It, you know how it has that nice breeze, a couple knots going and all that stuff. And
yeah,
because I was up on the scaffolding, so I get a little more of the breeze. Because I remember their setup was around palm trees and everything, and you could see the palm trees moving and everything. It was just a really cool setup, and the people, you had a lot of park people, but it was free, so you had a lot of wrestling fans from Orlando. So I mean, it was full, completely full. It was just a really cool, interesting setup, and it was the time where I think it was right when WCW was starting to take over in the ratings. I think on a consistent basis. I think it might have been going back and forth here and there, but that's right when the NWO started, made their first, first appearance after, like I said, the pay-per-view, Bash at the Beach. And I remember once at one of the Nitros, you had the big, where the entrance for MGM, where the signs are, it's like, I want to say, it looks like a carport where you go under it to go in, like where the ticket takers are. And I remember Hall and Nash were sitting in lawn chairs up by the MGM sign, looking down, watching the wrestling and everything.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was.
That's pretty cool.
Because I was like the same height as them because I was on the scaffold. So it was pretty cool.
That's cool. Now, okay, so here's the other question. I always loved how when the heels were cutting the promo, they got people to throw garbage in the ring. It was amazing. Did you see anybody being handed garbage, being prompted to throw garbage?
No, they actually would eject you from. You have to realize this is Disney, so they're not going to deal with that. They would throw people out if they seen them doing it, but no, they wouldn't. I know they didn't give them bottles or anything. Everything was paper cups and stuff like that. But no, they weren't. Nothing was like. I know what you're getting at because the whole setup and format for because you did some of those at Universal, right? Where they had the prep guy because a lot of them were. They have what are you considered the host or whatever? Where they okay, these guys are gonna have a cue card, boo or yay. It says cheer, boo, and all that stuff because a lot of the fans were park guests, so they weren't really wrestling fans. So they wanted to get out of the the hot Florida sun and cool off for an hour, watch some wrestling, in air conditioned building and everything. So they used to queue a lot of the people, but a lot of these people weren't. They didn't have to queue because a lot of them were, big wrestling fans because it was open free to the public.
Right. And so there was, okay, so yes or no, WCW handed out paper garbage and got people to throw it?
No, not to my knowledge.
Not to my knowledge. Okay.
Only thing thrown around was me throwing that hammer and that bell that night.
Brother. Now, let me ask you this. Were you at all afraid of heights? Up 24 feet on a scaffold?
Then, no. Now, yes. As the older I get, the more claustrophobic. You name it. I don't like it now because I'm like, I don't know. Then no, I would jumped off I've jumped off something that high into the ring before.
Now, okay. So here's the other thing. Did you look down and look into the ring and imagine yourself like doing a springboard crossbody, diving off of the scaffold onto guys into the ring? Did you think about that spot?
I didn't think about that, but I was probably, they had people in front of me because the way it was set up, you could see the scaffold. If you look up pictures of it online, you can see the scaffold because they had their banners and everything on it.
Mm-hmm.
They use it for the background. So I was behind the crowd, but I was close enough. The crowd where I was at was probably 10 rows of ringside, so I was behind them. So I was up high enough, but I wasn't close enough to jump into the ring. But I was close enough to see everything. I mean,
Got it.
without having to, it was, I had no problem seeing everything that was going on in there.
You just had a perfect view.
Oh, yeah, it was perfect all the way around. Yeah, the Rey Mysterio wrestled Dean Malenko there,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when Rey Mysterio won. So, I mean, that was a really great match. Two of those guys are incredible wrestlers. And talking about Malenko, the Legends Lunch, a little segue. Jody Malenko, Joe Malenko, he's always there. So Jody's always there at the Legends Lunch. So it's always nice to run into him and everything.
That's cool. Okay, and I noticed, speaking of
He's
Joe,
more friendlier than Dean.
Yes, the All Japan shirt. I like that.
Oh yeah, All Japan, New Japan. It's like the split.
A hybrid shirt. Yeah. Oh, I see.
Like
yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I didn't notice the New Japan part before.
Yeah.
Because it was sort of like, yeah. Well, now I see it. Half Lion Mark and half All Japan logo.
Yeah. My girl got it for me.
Yeah. Man, that girl's awesome.
She is. I can't complain.
How was the catering at the MGM Nitros as opposed to the MGM tapings of Worldwide?
No catering.
Wait, no catering for Nitro?
Yep. Nothing.
What did the boys do?
Everyone brought food with them. I know. It was, it was horrendous.
Damn.
I know.
I figured at least they would have something because it's Nitro, because it's a TV.
Too.
Yeah, because it's a big, you got to be there at night. So you had to show up in the afternoon.
Yep.
Ugh.
I know.
Okay,
it was.
So that's surprising. So two things that I've learned.
The next morning.
to tape Worldwide.
Yeah.
Because WCW, like Casey said before, folks, Atlanta was shut for the 96 Olympics. They told every business, and this was before companies did hybrid or remote work. They told companies to shut down or move operations somewhere else during the Olympics. They didn't want the highways gummed up with office traffic. They wanted to be able to move the athletes and the tourists and the dignitaries, politicians, whatever, move them without the citizenry getting in the mix. So that's why WCW packed up everything and headed south for those 3 weeks. And it worked perfectly, and it was probably tied in with the booking of the building for the pay-per-view because everybody just stayed in Florida. And that led to the 3 weeks of TV. Then the Olympics ends, and then the office packed up and went back. So you were taping, you were doing Nitro. This was pre-Thunder. So you were doing Nitro, and you were doing Worldwide. They were doing all the syndications. They were doing all the customizations. They were filming the town promos. They were doing everything down there.
Mm-hmm. And then
no catering.
They almost moved the whole entire office to Orlando.
Correct.
Bischoff almost did that. He was
permanent.
Really? Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Oh, that's big." But then they then they decided, you know what, we're just going to keep this. We're going to come back. It's easier for us to film all of our syndicated programs. You have to realize they filmed so far in advance that I don't know how they kept it all organized because different people be wearing the belts, so you knew who was going to win the title a month or two before because they're going out wearing it during the TV taping, because it was all pre-recorded and everything.
I know. They tried their best to not give those things away, but it's difficult. Sometimes you would see the guy, he'd start to make his entrance. They wouldn't shoot his entrance. He would hold up the belt. Hey, I'm the champion. Then he would set the belt down and do his ring walk. So he would come to the ring with no belt, but he would have already shown it to the people. So
yes, and I've had to do stuff like that before, and that's the most embarrassing thing ever. I remember once where they're like, guys, just walk out to the ring. They're going to introduce you and come back out. What? Yep,
yeah.
They messed up something. We had to go out there. And first of all, when you're doing TV, it's a very hostile audience. They're like, you suck. You're going to get your ass kicked. Fuck you, everything you can imagine.
Like Lane Kiffin walking to his plane. That was you guys.
Yeah. And I'll turn around and be like, yeah, screw you. You're paying to watch me. So, I would just yell back at them and everything. You'd be a babyface trying to shake hands and you're like, fuck you, you suck. You're going to lose.
Yay.
Yeah. So, whenever they did something like that, you would have to go out there. And I think back then and they would just come up with they'd never ask where you're from. I think they'd say, from Tempe, Arizona. And I was Carl Robinson for a little bit. Back when I would be like, you can't do TV. You can't use your name on TV because it's going to hurt you. And that was like a Jerry Gray kind of thing. And then I realized when the Armstrongs would say, no, man, people, you're on TV week. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. You're wrestling on TV. So use your real name. So I'm like, all right. So I used Casey Thompson, for the longest time. But, I think Casey Thompson, I was from, I think I did do Kalamazoo, Michigan, where I'm originally from. But I've heard a million different places where I'm from. I've had Howard Finkel announce me. I've had Gary Michael Capetta. I always liked his voice. I thought he had a really good voice for 2 a.m. in Portugal.
Yeah, better late than never. I'm just about to wrap up. So I got to go to bed.
We start at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time.
8:02.
Yeah, we start at 8-ish.
8-ish.
That's what I'm going to start
not
doing.
9-ish.
Live 8-ish Eastern Standard Time.
So okay, now I remember those Nitros and I've told this story before here on this show that the Hogan Bash at the Beach, I went to because I wasn't going to give WCW my money for pay-per-view, so I drove to the office in Stamford and watched it. And I'm watching it in Master Control because they recorded all the WCW stuff, not the syndicated stuff, but the live stuff. And then would look at it for legal reasons. Vince would look at it, I'm sure, for what they're doing, keeping a pulse on things. Howard Finkel would watch it for his Finkel facts, his Stooge report. And I went there to watch it just to see what they were going to do, because the whole big mystery was who was going to be the third guy, blah, blah, blah. And when I saw it was Hogan, my first thought was, here's me, brand new WWF, we ain't drawing. And I'm like, this is bad.
Yeah.
This is going to be really bad for us. It's going to be very good for WCW. And I remember distinctly at the end of each of those Nitros having that exact same feeling. Each of those 3 Nitros were pretty much the same show. And that was Kevin Sullivan. One of his methods was that you kind of beat them over the head with it. It may not be an original idea, but we are smashing these heels over. We are smashing the NWO over, and they are taking over and we're going to get heat on every babyface.
Right, because they started taking over the control. They started taking over the control truck. The commentary. I mean, they started taking over everything, and everyone would say, what's going to happen next? What are they going to do now? What's going to happen?" So people would watch just because stuff was so outlandish that you just I had to tune in.
Yes. Now, for the eye, the viewer, there were great matches, especially in the first 2 hours. This was when it was a 2-hour Nitro, right? Was it always 3 hours? No, it was 2 hours.
So it was 2, then it went to 3.
Then it went to 3. But you got great wrestling all throughout, and because they had tremendous talent, and then it became layer after layer after layer of who's going to be the new guy, the new surprise, the new one to jump ship and join.
Yeah.
And we're here getting our asses kicked every week up in Stamford.
Yeah.
And it was the old guard, Pat Patterson, Briscoe, JR, Cornette, right? Versus Vince Russo, some of the boys, the TV production people, kind of like this. And there was a little bit of push and pull. And that was where eventually, 97, Vince McMahon says, okay, I've had enough. Who's got any good ideas? And Vince Russo was the only one who spoke up, held up Raw Magazine, which he had in his hand, and said, this is what we should be doing. Threw it on the table. And we got to start telling the truth with people, being honest, and doing something different, because what we're doing sucks. Because that was all the feedback we were giving them. We're polling fans, and they're like, bleh.
And that's where the hatred started between, Jim Cornette and Vince Russo.
Sure. Because Russo had no problem with throwing out his ideas. And he, again, what WWF is doing is not working.
Right.
And
that's and Cornette took it as a slam against him then, because he was on the right committee.
I think that again, but that Vince wasn't necessarily listening to Cornette either, because there were things that Cornette was bringing to the table that if Vince would have actualized on, it would have been good. But instead, we're just going to blow that guy off. I'll never forget. So on the run up to Sid winning the belt at the pay-per-view, he beats Justin Hawk Bradshaw on TV, right? He still had the long hair, beat him clean. And I remember Jerry Briscoe standing, because I'm at Gorilla. I'm going to do an interview like the next segment. And Sid beats Justin Hawk Bradshaw. And Briscoe says, with Vince right there to hear it, I don't understand why we're beating a good young talent like Bradshaw. I don't understand it.
Wow.
So there was, it wasn't anarchy and it wasn't dysfunction. There was creative differences. Now, Vince Russo and Cornette, it was oil and water, and Vince McMahon got a tickle out of the heat between the two of them.
Sure, I bet he did.
Let's make sure we get them together sitting around the writing table, because that'll be fun. Cornette didn't think it was fun. So
I can't I don't understand. Let me rephrase that. I would like to know how it came about where Cornette was able to talk Vince into bringing in that little NWA segment or matches and stuff.
One of the creative ideas that they had to pitch to something different, to put something on Jeff Jarrett, to give Jeff that outsider feel. Because if you remember, he came back and he was anti-WWF, and that was where he also spoke out against Stone Cold, and Stone Cold never forgot Jeff kind of mocking him in Memphis. And So Austin made sure that Jeff Jarrett was never going to get over. But yeah, it was just a way to enhance what we were doing tag team wise with the Rock and Roll Express. Let's give some credence to some underneath guys. Barry Windham was involved, former NWA champ. It was a method to give guys a reason to be there. A lot of times they would look at the talent sheet, and we knew Vince's top guys, but then after that, there were a group of interchangeables, and they were called upon all the time to let's come up with some creative ideas for the bottom half of the talent roster and try to figure out some things to do and some ways to get guys over. And
was you there when the Rock and Roll Express came in?
Oh yeah.
How was their reaction? How was the crowd reaction to them?
Because
the Monday Night
mixed.
Wars, that crowd was different than other. The Raw's War crowd was a lot different than an average wrestling crowd.
True. And if we were in the Northeast, the reaction. So this was something that Bradshaw and I always talked about. The ECW guys were over like crazy if we ran in Philly or New York. But if we got south of the Mason-Dixon line, people didn't know who they were. Yeah, they had no idea.
Florida's probably okay because ECW came to Florida a lot.
Yeah, they would be. Florida's not the South. Florida is southern north. But if we were in, so if we're in Albany, New York, the Rock and Roll Express are going to get I remember these guys. Yeah. But if we are in South Carolina, people are going to love them. Just depended geographically on where we were. With the NWA guys coming in, it wasn't quite as bad as Brawl for All. Brawl for All was on a scale of 0, meaning no bad reaction, to 100, the worst reaction you could possibly imagine. Brawl for All was a 98. Okay?
Oh, wow.
The NWO or the NWA was probably like a 10. It was on the scale. It was just kind of apathy. People were like, okay, this is wrestling, but why are we bringing in the NWA belts? I don't understand it. And I kind of said that on commentary once. Why are we doing this anyway?
They probably paid them $500 or $750 for the night.
Yeah, I mean, it was an opportunity. Cornette, I'm sure. Cornette was very, very good, and it'll be a nice way to get Dennis Corluzzo payday. And it'll be a very nice way to get Ricky and Robert paydays. Whoever else they brought in. It was a way to get guys noticed. I mean, the whole light heavyweight tournament was another one like that. Let's get some new light heavyweight matches. Let's get this belt over. Let's do something with Brian Christopher.
I mean, that light heavyweight stuff brought some people. I mean, we got Jerry Lynn out of that.
Mm-hmm. Cornette knew all these guys.
Yeah.
And it was Scott. Oh my gosh, Scotty Too Hottie. What was his? Oh, I forget what his name. What his name was.
Oh yeah.
I know his real name. Yeah. I know his real name's Scott Garland, but he didn't wrestle as Scott Garland. I can't believe I can't remember it. Anyway, that was the first time we really started to see him in sort of a feature role. And because it was a little wild and a little high flying, people caught on to that really quickly. And especially with Taka Michinoku and Great Sasuke. Of course, it was supposed to be the vehicle for Great Sasuke to get over. And that's why he brought Taka Michinoku in. But Taka was the one who got over because Vince was like, what about this guy? And everybody was like, holy Jesus, this guy's incredible. And that's how Taka wound up getting him a job. So, but that was a lot of dealings with Victor Quinones. Quinones had the connections in Japan and was able to get the visas done so that the guys could come over and they could, get all their work. The visa process coming into the States is a lot easier than U.S. wrestlers going to Japan. That's beyond a headache. Canadian wrestlers, Japanese wrestlers go into Canada, Canada wrestlers go into Japan. Apparently, it's just a back and forth thing. I don't think there's any visas needed. I know there isn't any visas needed for Canada with wrestlers that came in from Japan. So that was always a nice thing. Yeah. Yeah, this is getting my this is churning, my memory banks now for that time. So let's put a pin in it where we are, and then we'll start to talk about kind of that period, August and beyond, and where we were, because man, September, October 96, that was where, we were heading towards SummerSlam. Vader, Shawn Michaels, yeesh, not good. Yeah. All right, so because I got to go to bed, but
and WCW
Casey
had a rocket strapped onto them, and they were
kicking our ass. We'll look at some of the main events. We'll look at some of what they were doing and pay-per-view wise and what the big matches were, so we can kind of it helps us to recoup our collective brain cells.
Exactly.
After a lot of years. I couldn't even remember what freaking Scott, I want to say Scott Anthony, but that's not him. That's another wrestler. I'll think of it, and I'll go. Probably 2:30 this morning, I'll be asleep, and I'll shoot up out of bed. Johnny Jib. Okay.
Exactly.
So, thank you, Casey, as always, for everything. That case behind you looks better and better and better each week.
Oh, yes. I have decided that I want, these belts are considered the Southern, Reggie Parks, it was the Southern style wrestling belt. I decided that I want to have the largest territory wrestling belt collection. I want to own all of the territory Southern style belts. So
Man,
I know they all kind of look the same, but they had the United States Championship had one, Georgia had one. He had the AWA Southern Tag Team. They had a Junior Southern Heavyweight Championship. You had Mississippi champion, Louisiana champion. There's a bunch of them. So I've been doing a little research trying to figure out all of them. That's what I want to start collecting all those. So, but I got some new ones coming.
I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see how that case just continues to grow. That's incredible.
Oh, it is bigger. My table is gone. It goes all the way down to the ground now. If I can move out of the way.
Just shoot some video.
Yeah.
Do a video thing.
I'll put some stuff up. A little tour of the I have to come up with a name for it.
Give us this fine wooden paneling. I'll decorate it, I promise. All right. Well, that's going to do it for this live edition of the In-Ring Wrestling Podcast. Make sure you're joining us each and every Sunday night, 8-ish at Eastern Time, as we said. And if you're watching any of the shorts on YouTube, you're watching any of the content on YouTube, make sure you like it and you subscribe as well. And if you want, you can hit the notification bell, and it'll let you know when new programming from the In-Ring Wrestling Podcast appears on YouTube. If you're listening on, we got to get the podcast thing going. People are asking me about that. We need just the podcast version of this, because as much as they love our faces, sometimes they don't want to. They don't want to have to look at us all the time.
Gotcha.
All right.
I would dive into that. I'll try to work on that this week. And if you're on TikTok, go ahead and leave us a message that's hatred, because I don't care.
Hatred? It's nothing but love.
Usually it's about you, Kevin, not me.
Well, that's all right. I don't know.
I think it relates because the AEW people are the TikTokers of the world, and a lot of the AEW people don't like you. So
they can lick balls. Who cares about them? Good Lord. All right. So for Casey Thompson, the belt collector, I'm Kevin Kelly, and we'll see you next week on the next edition of the In-Ring Wrestling Podcast.